Hi, my name is Lisa Kanyomozi Reboni, and this is Conversations with Kanyomozi. We'd like to, first of all, appreciate all of you that subscribed and viewed and shared and retweeted. We really appreciate your support for the first episode. This is the second episode, and we're talking about feminism. We're going to define feminism. We're going to speak about the different stages of feminism and types of feminism. Beginning with the definition, feminism is a range of social movements, political movements, and ideologies that aim to define, establish, and achieve the political, economic, personal, and social equality of the sexes. If you're a Beyonce fan, which is like every feminist that I know, then you might have heard about feminism during the Chimamanda bit in one of her songs, and I think that was the first time that I was exposed to the definition of feminism. I did not identify as a feminism right away, but I knew, oh, this movement is a thing. Principles of feminism, people tend to not get that. So it's equity, which is leveling the ground; equality, which is what men have, women should have. That's obvious, but doesn't necessarily work. And justice for all people. And this again is not strict to only men and women or heterosexual men and women, but this would also speak about the LGBTQ community. Would also speak about non-binary folks, the likes. So we'd like to talk about, it seeks to eliminate inequality and injustice, and guarantees human dignity and equality for all people. We identify, as feminists, you identify elements that might be oppressive and suggest alternatives. So you definitely go into culture, you go into society, you go into economy and women in work, how women are obviously paid less or have to play more roles, and you have to question that constantly and see, okay, what's the alternative? How can women have an easier way through the workplace? So we'll start off by different stages of feminism. The term feminist was coined by a Charles Fourier, and I know I'm going to mess that name up because it's a French name, in 1837. So feminism has existed for a long time. I feel just more oftentimes people say, oh, African feminism hasn't existed, maybe because it wasn't coined and we hadn't theorized for a long period of time. But as we go through the YouTube channel, we shall look at different aspects of how African feminism has existed in the time before now. So we began off with the first wave of feminism, which was in the 19th and 20th century. It comprised of women's suffrage movements promoting women's rights to vote. So a lot of this feminism was focused on achieving rights for women. There was the marriage right, where at a point there was coverture. So when you're married, you do not have any rights, like you're your husband's property. So women seek to question that. There was women getting custody of their children. That wasn't a thing for a while. So that was the first wave of feminism. The second wave of feminism was a women's liberation movement. It campaigned for legal and social equality for women, as you can, so gender roles, questioning gender roles, questioning why do men get to go to work and women have to stay at home, questioning societal roles for women, questioning cultural roles for women for us who are in Africa. And then also the third wave of feminism was characterized by focus on individuality and diversity. So for a long time, the feminist movement was branded by white women, as you can imagine. And Black American women were like, we are also part of the movement. You're not inviting us into the movement, but we have a valuable role to play within the movement. So you'll see Bell Hooks came in, Alice Walker. So at this time they're just including themselves in the movement loudly, like, we are part of the movement, we have theory to contribute, we have work to contribute, so you need to acknowledge us in the movement. And that was the third wave, including of also queer women, lesbian women, bisexual women, trans women, all the inclusion of diversity around the 1992 to date. Then the fourth wave, which would be where I per se entered into feminism, started off in 2012. It's where we used, as feminists, we used social media to combat sexual harassment, violence against women, and rape culture. So we started questioning all that, and we started movements around that. Recently, there's been Me Too UG, which has been extensive, and we're here for it. We're here for the revolution. But there's also the Me Too movement and different other movements that came about. So there's are 4 waves of feminism. So right now, we are existing in the 4th wave. We're still standing on the work of the women that were before us from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd wave. We're also still doing work that they began, because there's still very many things that existed in the 1st wave that we're not yet at. Okay, different types of feminists. A misconception is that feminism is homogenous. that's the word that I can use. So misconception is all feminists are the same. They apply to the same school of thought, and they are ground principles of feminism, but then also there are different schools of thought within feminism, and different women and different people who identify as feminists have different schools of thought. So the Marxist feminist, who sees economic class as a source of oppression. So because you're unable to provide for yourself, or because you do not make money, or opportunities are not in play, or gender pay gaps, that's the reason as to why you're oppressed. So a Marxist feminist works towards fighting those systems of oppression. There's a radical feminist, which I will sit comfortably there, sees patriarchy as a source of oppression. So fighting patriarchy in all forms, culturally, societal, economically. The patriarchy is a problem, so we must dismantle it, and you will often see most feminists identify with that, because for feminism to work, we need to dismantle patriarchy first. Then there's a socialist feminist who sees patriarchy and capitalism as the source of oppression and seeks to challenge societal oppression of women. There's a cultural feminist who study culture and see gender difference as a source of oppression for women. So you would look at, African culture per se. You'd look at, I am a Toro, so I would see the kneeling of women now. We shall sit down and talk about that. When Winnie Byanyima came out and spoke about that, there was an outpour. But you definitely have to question things, because they've existed for the longest time doesn't necessarily mean they're right. Because their culture doesn't mean they cannot change, because culture shouldn't be stagnant. So feminists that question different aspects of culture that we have been repeating for the sake of repeating, but they might be oppressive to women. Then a womanist. This came a bit later, because again, as I said before, feminism for a long time was branded by white women, and they intentionally and unintentionally excluded Black American and African women. So womanist was a term coined by Black women, and they saw traditional theories center white women and marginalized women of color. So they came out to do their own theory, to have their own space to share their feminist ideologies and stands and take up political power. This is the basic Feminist 101 that you'd like to know. Obviously, I'm going to just be giving you snippets because as a feminist, you must do the work, you must read the theory. And another conversation that I'd like to bring to light as we wrap this up is, are you born a feminist or do you become a feminist? Which is also a conversation on the TL about a while ago, and people said, oh no, we've been born a feminist or that. But I think feminism is a political ideology, so you become a feminist after you identify as one, then you do the work as a feminist, and that's for me. So I would like for you to drop into the comment section what you think. Are you born a feminist or do you become a feminist? So this is our second episode on feminism, and just drop in about the definition, the stages, and where we are, and different types of feminists, and you can now learn from that. So this is our new home, Smoky Joe's. It's in Bugolobi, and we're going to be shooting a few more episodes here and have a lot of conversation. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, retweet. We're here for it.